Well, Cousin Mike, we have reached that point where we are poised precipitously at the intersection of what you do and what I do. Let's take a look, sports fans. This is a postscript that's going to come at the front, so I guess it's kind of a forward, but let's think about this for a second. Jamie Blake and I both, as black men of relative privilege, we know and believe that as long as we get through the experience with the officer, that we're going to have our day in court, or we're going to be heard somehow or another. Most people, be they black or white, don't really have that belief, and especially people in the inner city, they're going to be more uptight with a police officer. The police officer is going to be more upfront with them and confrontational with them, and that's going to lead to bad results. But just think about that as you watch this video.
Yes, I'm happy that my reaction was I was actually smiling at the person, because I could see how if I put my arms up or if I did anything, it could be a sign of showing some sort of resistance, and instead of having a little bruise on my leg, I might have some broken bones or some actual injuries, because it didn't seem like he was slowing down and he was going to continue that tackle.
And he was in plainclothes police officer. He was in shorts.
T-shirt and shorts.
And he never identified himself.
Didn't have a badge.
Nice round of applause for James Blake here, of course, popular as a player, but a show of support from the Arthur Ashe Stadium crowd. Blake in the headlines in recent days for very unfortunate reasons. Yes. New York police detective, a case of mistaken identity, they say, was tackled in front of the Grand Hyatt Hotel as he was texting.
Well, that was
thrown to the ground, bruised at the videotape. You may have seen it.
With class by
sure
James Blake, that is for sure.
As a former law enforcement attorney who has both successfully sued and represented police officers, I must say that I can think of no excuse for failure to identify yourself during the execution of an arrest, regardless of whether or not, you have a good faith belief that you have the right suspect. So for that, the New York Police Department owes James Blake an apology right there on the face of things. But for those of you who don't know, it's worse than that, because Mr. Blake could be a fragile egg. The man was nearly paralyzed, and actually was paralyzed, I think, on the one half of his body for a while when he ran into a net post, and we were all scared for him several years ago. That's just a little behind-the-scenes thing that he won't mention, but I know it, and us tennis players know it. So anyway, now before I get deeper into this, here's a funny thing to think about. As a tennis player, now I have perhaps 1/10 of James Blake's tennis game. He's, top 5 in the world, monster forehand, accomplished professional who could beat anyone on a good day. These days at 50, I'm kind of a club hack with a decent backhand on a good day. At my best, I feel confident that at one point I was in the top 1,000,000 tennis players in the whole world. Anyway, okay, now. So the one thing we do have in common, though, besides our relative shades of blackness, is respect for good police and contempt for law officers who don't deserve the right to have the badge.
The police officer, there were 5 of them. They could have easily asked and said, "Can I just see your license?"
Have the police reached out to you since? Have you talked to any of them? Have they tried to reach you? They say that they've been trying to contact you.
No, I haven't heard anything, but I mean, I'd be surprised if they were making that concerted of an effort, since I've been contacted by a lot of media sources that have been able to find my number, and they're out there doing a very difficult job. And I even said that during the 15 minutes. I said, I know you guys are doing a tough job, but and I respect that. I appreciate everything you guys do to keep us safe, but I think you have the wrong person here, and they didn't want to hear it, didn't want to listen to that. And I do think most cops are doing a great job in keeping us safe, but when you police with reckless abandon, you need to be held accountable.
Let's be clear about something. Police officers stand in a position of authority for a reason, a purpose. They went to school, they take some hard knocks, they deserve to be where they are. They are not infallible.
Now, I know a bit more about the subject than he does. Obviously, that's what I did. I was a trial attorney. And I direct you first to the state of Delaware with the unlawful kick in the face of a black man who was clearly complying with police orders. In New Jersey, where they covered up the second dash cam video that I noted in a prior video I did last week.
The tape not initially turned over is on the dash of a second police car that comes from the opposite direction, crosses the median into ongoing traffic, and then strikes Jeter's car. There is no mention of that in any police report. When Jeter first told his attorney that part of the story,
it was incredible. I didn't believe his story at that particular point in time.
So you finally believed him then?
Yes.
Or the questionable shooting of a potentially unarmed suspect, Terrence Fletcher, in Delaware, which is compounded with the likely unlawful arrest of a bystander who lawfully criticized police for firing in a daycare area. It's unlawful to arrest someone for videoing police or commenting to them or criticizing them unless they are clearly obstructing their official business. All right? Now, that's a fact. Even though there's a racist judge, Robert B. Young in Delaware, who threw out my First Amendment lawsuit while outright lying about the facts and law of my case when I went to record some public officials there. That's another matter. I won't go further into it, but just trust me, there's corruption everywhere. And that's all documented on my Mortgage Movies Journal website. Now, on Chris King's First Amendment page, we're coming back to the criminal element now, we see another example of police abuse where a white cop verbally abused me and physically intimidated me for no lawful reason at all other than driving fancy, expensive-looking motorcycle while black. All right? I was not speeding, gunning my engine, hitting a wheelie, or anything of that nature. I had bought a brand new tire that day and was scuffing it in a bit in my own lane of travel, and I saw the cop the whole time. It was just, you just cannot believe. And see, and the problem is worse against blacks. I have documented lots of abuse, police abuse against whites as well, but I know that the problem is more acute against minorities. And there's an old study, the Baldus study, B-A-L-D-U-S. That study is still relevant today. In any event, the police in Providence ignored my complaint for 2 solid years until the case of Dana Harris appeared, when he, as a black man, was pulled over and given a warning for having an air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror. Now, the police in Jamie's case and in the Harris case have a legitimate excuse for their, at least some of their conduct. Mistaken identity for Jamie's case, and a similar issue in the Harris case because they were looking for his cousin and his car had just left the property. Okay, I get that. All right? But what about those cases in Delaware or my complaint in Rhode Island? Okay? From my tracker, I have proof that they know that I sent an electronic complaint 2 years ago. They clicked on the link. They clicked on the picture. It shows me all, everything they're looking at right now. All right? Now, there's simply no excuse for this dereliction of duty, and I demand an apology for both the initial incident in my case and the failure to follow up, which is potentially a civil rights violation in and of itself. Now, thank God for the reporter in Providence who at least, had the gumption and their editor for at least putting this story out about Mr. Harris so that I could bring my attention to light. I just want to thank James Blake for coming forward on this now. And, it's important that he did that. And it's important for him to know, and I'm sure he does know, that this problem is, well, his case is simply a microcosm of the whole problem. And I think the East Coast police are probably worse than the rest of the country in this area. It's something that needs to be reviewed by a responsible attorney general. Stay tuned for updates, and here is my phone call with Providence from last week.
Go to the Providence RI website. You can download a complaint form there, and where you can actually email it directly to that division.
That was done. That was done 2 years ago. So, yeah, you can put me upstairs.
Unfortunately, I can't explain for what happened 2 years ago. I'm stating that if you choose to do something, if you want anything else, and you want to, talk to somebody regarding this, you can either send them an email or download that form, or I can transfer you to that division because I'm not able to help you.
Sure. I'll do both. If you could transfer me up, and then I'll see if I can get any satisfaction there, and then if not, then I will go online and start the process again.
Certainly. I'll be happy to transfer you. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Office of Professional Responsibility, Sergeant Celtic.
Hello, Sergeant. My name is Christopher King, and I missed your last name. I'm sorry, did you say Kelty?
Celtic.
Okay. Yes, I have an issue here, and I've been discussing this matter with the reporter Amanda Milkovitz after she covered the Dana Harris case regarding the air freshener pullover. And I understand there were extenuating circumstances in that case. I've read it. I understand what's going on. I'm a former law enforcement attorney myself. Now, my issue, though, is a little bit different because I wrote a complaint 2 years ago regarding an officer who, verbally abused me and physically threatened me, all because I was riding a nice motorcycle while black. And I was respectful to him. he wouldn't let me say a word. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. So I filed a complaint. And no one did anything
Right.
about it for 2 years.
Okay.
And so I'd like some answers.
Okay. So when, like you say 2 years ago, like exactly 2 years ago, I mean, what are you talking about, 2014?
It was 2013. I filed my complaint.
2013.
I filed my
What
complaint
month,
on or
you know?
I filed my complaint on or about the 2nd of June on 2013 because I kept a blog post of it. I have a couple different blogs I write, and
Right.
yeah, so I kept it. It was right around the
Did you get
2nd
the
of
officer's
June.
badge number at the time?
No, I did not. I knew his car number though, and I told him what the car number was when he left. So it was car number 42
Yeah.
on that day.
42 was the plate?
Yes, and
And
so
you sure it was Providence, please?
oh yeah, oh absolutely
It
sure.
wasn't state, it wasn't, okay.
Definitely,
Alright, no, because I'm saying 42 is not a number I'm familiar with right off the bat, so. Okay, what street was it on?
You know, it was right downtown. Gosh, I haven't lived there in a couple years now. I'm trying to remember the name of the street, but it wasn't too far
Are
away
you in
from.
the city now? Do you live in the city now?
No, I live in Seattle now. I moved a couple years ago, right after this.
Oh, okay. Alright, well, okay. Alright,
But it was downtown,
and
not far
basically,
from Macy's.
I see, near this mall, okay. Chris, did, like, when you filed your complaint, how did you go about it? Did you do it in writing? Did you do it by phone call?
I did in writing. I think I went online and filled out something online, and then I also wrote a letter myself. You know that I emailed to the station, and then I called in, and
Did
people.
you get a ticket, or did you
He
get a ticket, or did you get a warning?
he gave me a warning. Yeah, he gave me a warning.
But he did it with, you didn't like the way he was spoken to while he was doing it.
Oh, he was a complete ass. This guy, he
Yeah.
was like, "I'm gonna take that bike and I'll put that on the trailer right now." And why are you riding like that? And all I did was I had just got a new tire, and so I was in my lane of travel. I didn't speed. I didn't hit a wheelie. Nothing. I was just scuffing the tire in a little bit. There was no other traffic. I saw him the whole time. I'm looking straight at him. And this guy pulls me over. All he had to say was, "Hey, man, why are you riding like that?" And then I say, "Hey, I just got a new tire this afternoon. I'm just scuffing it in a little bit."
You didn't do a burnout, though, right?
Hell no. I'm 50 years old. I don't ride like that. And I was on
I'm just saying.
yeah, I know. And I was on a nice Triumph, and this guy, just gave me the bum's rush. And he's a pretty big guy, and he got right up on me, and he's like yelling at me, and spit coming out of his mouth, and I'm sitting here like, man, look, I respect the badge. I was an assistant state attorney. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rude.
So, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I mean, we're talking 2 years. I mean, after somebody didn't get back to you, I mean, I don't know when you moved or whatever, but after somebody didn't get back to you, did you inquire any other time besides,
Oh
like,
gosh.
recently? I mean, I know.
Honestly, officer, I called 4 to 6 times over the course of several months and got nowhere. And I just, at that point, I just said, "Oh, they're not going to ever do anything." And then now this came up again, and someone forwarded to me and said, "You know what? Try it again, Mr. King. Maybe they'll listen this time."
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Can I have your number?
Yeah, sure. 617